I was born when she kissed me. I died when she left me. I lived a few weeks while she loved me. You ever heard that line? Does it work? It was from that's a movie I watched with Humphrey Bogart. It's a Humphrey Bogart line as Dixon Steele that he told Laurel Gray. It's the movie In the Lonely Place. He said, I was born when she kissed me. I died when she left me. I lived a few weeks while she loved me. I think we all have a sense of what it's like to be what the Germans call a doppelganger. The Germans have a word for this idea that there can be a ghostly, disembodied double of ourselves, that somehow we're just not alive. We have a life. I mean, we have a name, and we have a group of friends, and we have a daily routine and a schedule of things that we do. We prepare and eat meals. We talk on the phone. We go to work. We get tired. We go to bed. But in all of those things, we're never truly living. And I think a lot of us have that idea of ourselves, that we're somehow without animation. We're just like a ghostly double of ourselves. And for Dixon Steele, he was saying that the whole life that he lived up to the point that Laurel Gray kissed him, he wasn't himself, and that kiss animated him. Now, of course, that's a nice romantic ideal, and I think as far as the most durable of all world religions has always been romance, whether it be Paris and Helen, Romeo and Juliet, or Edward and Bella today. There's always been this idea that we as people can somehow attain or aspire to what we were really made to be through romance and a relationship. And I might get close that way. But just as I've mentioned to you before, the old adage, or the question, what was the tallest mountain in the world before Everest was discovered? The answer is Everest. It doesn't matter whether Everest was discovered yet, it was always the tallest mountain. And even if you, heretofore in your life, or even if the world can only come up with the highest ideal of animation or life or true living is found in romance or some other thing, it doesn't take away from the fact that for us, real life, really living, is found in being loved by God, and loving God and being loved by Him. And so it is with our walk with God. And I think for me today, and what I think this passage is trying to concern ourselves with, is I don't want you continuing to walk through this life as a doppelganger, to continue to walk through this life as a ghostly, disembodied ghost of yourself. I want you to live this life fully. I want you to be animated. I want you to be alive. I want you to have fullness of life. And that comes with finding your true purpose in the Lord and taking advantage of it. And to that end, we're going to look at this illustration, because this is principally what Jeremiah was interested in as he went to preach this message and to talk about this idea with the people of Israel. Jeremiah was a prophet, and a prophet was an office in the Old Testament. A prophet, we classically identify with foretelling the future, and that's true. Many of these prophets they were privy to knowledge of God's plan for His people, and they could foretell what was going to happen. But more than that, a prophet, his office was one where he was called of God to stand between God and man, and to communicate to the people and to the leaders who are in positions of power and authority what God wanted them to hear. It was having a person who you could trust and verify to know that this person had God's ear, and who also was somebody that God was speaking to, and that they in turn would communicate to the people what God was thinking and what He desired and what He wanted. And so throughout the history of the Old Testament, God would raise up these prophets. Our Old Testament is full of them. And God would use them in different ways. And one of the things He liked to have them to do was to give them a visible illustration. Sometimes they'd walk in stocks or do different things to kind of be a constant 24-hour-a-day sermon. And this is a similar one. He had Jeremiah take some money and go and purchase for himself a brand new waistcloth, or a brand new belt, a sash. And he said, I don't want it to ever have touched water, meaning I want it to be absolutely brand new, never cleaned even. I don't want you to wear it. And I want that waistcloth to be seen by all people. And because of the beauty of the waistcloth and the quality of the fabric and the linen, I want people to see it as a means of renown and glory for you. And then I want you to take it. I want you to take the 300-mile journey to the Euphrates River, which would be foretelling their future exile to Babylon, to Assyria. And I want you to go and I want you to stuff it in a crevice of a rock by the Euphrates River, 300 miles away. And I want you to come home. And then a great deal of time passed, and God quickened him to go and return and retrieve that waistcloth. And in finding it, he found that it had been completely ruined. And for him to wear it now would be a sign of disgrace, not of praise or glory and so forth. You get the idea. And then he goes ahead and makes the application. Well, in this illustration, of course, the people of Israel would see themselves as the waistcloth and God as the wearer. And I believe that this passage is something that we can have taught to us today in a similar way. So I want you to see yourself in this passage as the waistcloth, we as his people, being that which God raised up and purchased for his own glory, for his own renown. And then I want us to see and make some application on what happens when we don't make the most of that. So I'm going to ask you a few questions to draw out these ideas. The first one is, must a songbird learn a new song? Okay. Must a songbird learn a new song? Let's look at verses 9 to 11 again of Jeremiah chapter 13. He says, "Thus says the Lord, just so will I destroy the pride of Judah and the great pride of Jerusalem. This wicked people who refuse to listen to my words, who walk in the stubbornness of their hearts and have gone after other gods to serve them and to bow down to them. Let them be just like this waistband, which is totally worthless. For as the waistband clings to the waist of a man, so I made the whole household of Israel and the whole household of Judah cling to me, declares the Lord, that they might be for me a people for renown, for praise, and for glory. But they did not listen." I think it's neat to think that the chickadee that lit on the rafters of the ark sang the exact same song that the chickadee that lights on the dogwood branch in your backyard sings today. Well, why hasn't that chickadee, over those many thousands of years, learned for himself a new song? Or for herself a new song? Why doesn't the chickadee learn a new song? I don't know if that is a good question. But the answer is because that bird's audience tastes have not changed. It was God who created the chickadee, and he's the one who programmed that chickadee with that song because it was pleasing to him.